What is up, guys? It is your two favorite internet LARPers here, Heath and Bob with Refuge.
If you don't know it, now you do.
Now you do, right? And we're here to talk to you about the impending doom and all the chaos that's happening in the world, bro, and how do you become more prepared? No, realistically, we're talking about the increased threats to our communities right now due to everything that's happening in the Middle East. And a couple of things that maybe you could be doing, be a little bit more prepared. And so we're talking about truck setups today. And what Heath keeps in his truck, what I keep in my truck, and why you don't have to listen to us, but it's just two takes, right? So a couple of things. The first thing we want to really focus on in our vehicles is medical, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
The reason being is like you're driving and it's super dangerous. And so before, you know, all of the crazy potential attacks and all that stuff, first things first, just like having medical in your vehicle so that way you could respond to an accident. So that way you could render self-aid, or you could render aid to another person maybe that was in an accident or something like that, right? So for us, like my truck always has like a fully built out kit. And so all this was built out through Refuge. This bag is like a specialty bag. We don't usually sell this. I got this from a buddy and I really like the bag, but this is our basic vitals kit. I've got hemostatic ETDs, hemostatic impregnated gauze, massive bleeding, trauma pack support, trauma support, extra mylar, extra splint. This is all respiratory support here. So you got your chest seals, your 5x9s, your nasos, all that stuff. And so quick glimpse into what I would keep in my bag. I just used it, but I also had a fire suppression device here, as well as a couple of burn tech dressings and then a chem light to show where the bag is. That I could crack in the night. All right, as well as this is a little window breaker. And so you hold that up against the window, pull that back, and that sends it into the window, shattering it, so that way you can get out, right? If you were to get trapped. And then of course, a couple of TCCC cards in here. So if I did render aid or somebody rendered aid to me, they can annotate all the work that they did, tie that to my toe or staple it to my forehead and move on, right? So yeah, quick glimpse into medical. Always have medical inside of your vehicle.
Yep.
I recommend a crash pack. This is based off of a crash pack with a little bit of stuff that I changed. Just a little secret sauce from Bob. Crash pack is awesome. Also like the travel arc, really good, mounts to the back of your headrest. Yep. Having something that's able to treat not just you, but also somebody else inside of your vehicle is important. Yeah, go into that bad boy.
Yeah, speaking of, you brought up the arc, right? The travel arc?
Yep.
So I really like the arc for its modularity. This is my Minuteman bag. You can find that at sojourngear.com. Cody over there, he does phenomenal work.
Yeah, dude.
I don't think anybody does better nylon than him.
I agree.
But with that said, we have the arc here. This is my personal one. I've carried it for a relatively long time.
It was released, I think.
Yeah, pretty close. It's been through some stuff, but regardless, I actually can take this thing, I can have it mounted to the headrest of my truck. Yep. Quick release, snap, pull it, ready to go. If I don't need it on my truck and I need it with me, I can throw it in my Minuteman bag.
Yep, and there's a hook and loop in the Minuteman bag that it can attach to.
Or the dangler for my plate carrier,
right, which
is also where it ends up riding quite a bit of time. So modularity, if you want a really good kit that can kind of be used in multiple facets. Yep. Take a look at the arc.
So after your medical gear, we were talking about this, probably next in terms of importance for us is probably some sort of communications gear.
Yep.
You know, we want to be able to communicate with the outside world. So our first line of communication, right, is going to be the old handy dandy
cell phone.
Cell phone. Black
we all have one.
Yeah, everybody's got one. So don't get complicated. Have a cell phone, right, and have like a couple backup battery packs, right? Yeah. So that's something that I always try to keep. I had one on me, but I actually think it's in the house charging right now. It might be in here though. No, I plugged it in. Okay, so I usually keep like a little charging pack in my admin pouch. That way I can charge the cell phone up if it ever goes dead or something like that, right? Right. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Next thing for communications, have some sort of like mobile ham radio, whether it's a Baofeng or like a Yaesu FT65 or a TYT digital. Something like that to where you can pick up on your local weather frequencies, your local emergency frequencies. You can talk to, you know, your family radio service, your multi-use radio service, all these things that give you the ability to communicate outside of necessarily data, right? So that way you can hop on the ionosphere, communicate that way, right? So have some sort of communications, because everybody wants to run straight to guns. Everybody wants to run straight to plate carriers. It's much more likely that you will need to speak to somebody, communicate where you are, maybe hear like alerts or reports in your area.
But not only that, you know, we're kind of talking in a tactical sense, but it's way more practical that there's going to be a tornado or some type of storm in your area. That thing is going to potentially save your life. Hey,
Absolutely.
stay away from such and such county. Oh, I'm in that county. Let's not drive in that direction.
Yeah.
What have you, right? It's going to provide you with all the intel that you need so that you can make an educated decision to keep you safe.
Absolutely. And so then following off of that, once you step off of communications, we try to think of some sort of sustainment gear, right? So I always keep like a sustainment bag in my truck, right? I'm not gonna go through my whole bug out sustainment bag, but
That's
really
a different video.
Yeah, it's a different. We'd be here for a minute. But really, the main food groups, right, is your 7 C's of survival, right? So you're gonna have some sort of, you know, food, water, cutting, fire, all these things, so that like, oh man, I gotta walk home.
Right.
That's gonna do it for me. So I have like, you know, a makeshift shelter, everything like that. I actually even included one of the Refuge basic litters. This isn't in market yet. You guys haven't seen this, but this is actually a Refuge basic litter, and so you can pull and deploy that out.
I love this thing.
We've tested that a lot, and so that sucker lives on the bottom of the bug out bag. As well as I just kind of have like stuff that makes sense. So some foot powder, you know, some moleskin, some like OTC meds, stuff like that.
Right.
As well as like water purification, right? So having that inside of a sustainment bag, that's, you know, Heath's got a framed Mystery Ranch. That's an awesome pack. I've got just like a Condor 72 hour.
And you can go any direction with the bag, you know, whatever works for you.
The
whatever your budget
Mothman or the
allows.
Grassman, those are great packs.
Absolutely.
From Squatch Survival Gear. Both of those are framed packs too, so that'll give you a little bit more rigid stability. So after you have your sustainment gear, right? So we start with our medical gear. That's going to be most important for our vehicle, right? Then we also have our communications gear, right? So that's, hey, I need to talk to the outside world. That's our cell phone, our ham radios, our smoke signals, our pigeons, whatever we're using to talk that day. And then after that, we're moving on to like, hey, I need to sustain myself. I need to move away from my vehicle to get to, you know, home or a safe space or whatever it may be. So having some sort of sustainment, and then off of that, we move into defensive gear, right? So this is, hey, somebody is trying to, you know, enact violence upon innocents or enact violence upon me. So I have a set of defensive gear inside of my truck at all times. Starting with my just, you know, battle belt. And so everybody knows what a battle belt looks like. Everybody's got their own flavor. Shout out to M81. That's God's camo right there. God's plaid.
And naturally, this is going to be something that you should be working with and training with on a regular basis. So not every belt is going to be set up the same.
Yeah, Heath's belt is completely different than my belt. And so when you look at them, right,
know and run the gear you like and trust.
There's a couple of things that are the same. So like he has 2 pistol mag pouches and 2 rifle mag pouches. I have 2 rifle mag pouches. I have 2 pistol mag pouches. But they're set up a little bit differently. We're not in the same location. He's a right-handed shooter and I'm a left-eye dominant right-hand shooter. So I'm all messed up, right? I'm the worst type of person. Then with that, you know, some guys will have a blade, some guys won't have a blade. Some guys will carry multi-tools, some dudes will have like tourniquets on their belt line. The whole point of a belt is so that you're able to carry your gear in an easy, quickly accessible way.
Absolutely.
More so than that, make sure you're training with it. If you're just putting a belt that has a bunch of kit on it into your truck, you're lying to yourself, respectfully. If you're not going out and you're doing physical things inside of your gear right now, bye. I don't know why you're not.
Don't have good words for you there.
Yeah, dude. So anyways, make sure that you're carrying some sort of gear that can, you know, help sustain you defensively. And then you can go as far as, you know, Heath's got 3 extra rifle mags inside of his Minuteman bag that he's always got. He's got like, probably an Nalgene too, right?
So I've got a Nalgene bottle. I've got 3 extra rifle mags, one that's actually loose that actually makes it easier for me to access. And then of course medical That's the ARC I spoke about. And then an APLS blanket, because you can utilize that for shelter.
Yep.
You can utilize it for heat. Redundancy in terms of its capabilities. You can use it for a myriad of situations.
Yeah.
And not really have to worry about it.
100%.
Yep.
I know you usually do. I don't think you have it with you. It's probably in your truck. But standardly, we'll carry a plate. Like, I know we're carrying plate carriers in our trucks, right? We're carrying plate carriers in our trucks right now because we have this heightened threat. I wish we lived in a world where we didn't feel as though we needed to carry such things.
Yep.
But when you're seeing innocent civilians and innocent women and children killed in the streets because of what they believe,
Yep.
regardless of what side, who cares? I don't really care. I know that for us, we're going to heighten up our security measures.
Absolutely.
That's a big thing. And
Yeah.
I've talked to industry leaders all across the country right now, and everybody's doing the same exact thing. Everybody is making sure that they're increasing their security measures. And this is something we've also talked to law enforcement about.
Right.
They're very aware of who we are. They're very aware of the fact that we do what we do. We train with them, and we try to be involved in their life, so that way they're not intimidated by us or threatened
Right.
by us or anything like that. We're on the same team,
Right.
right? We're all here to protect the community. We're all here to serve one another in love, just as Galatians said. And yeah, so with that, this is a Redemption Tactical Plate Carrier, because somebody's going to ask in the comments what plate carrier is that. That's the Crusader 2.0. It doesn't matter what plate carrier you have. It matters if you're training in plate carriers. It matters if you're training in your gear, right?
And it certainly doesn't matter if you even have one if you're not training in it.
Right. Yeah.
What's the point of even throwing it on at that point?
Yeah. If you're not training in your gear, you're wrong. You should be
Right.
doing extremely hard things inside of your gear right now. Test to see what's going to fail in easy times so that it doesn't fail in hard times,
Yep.
right? And so with that, you want some way to carry your radio on your kit. It's what a lot of guys do. So you could do, you know, like a nylon pouch here. You can do a bunch of different pouches, bunch of different ways. This is actually me utilizing the belt kit, not for medical. So you guys seen the belt kit on Refuge. It's a great little first aid kit, but I actually use this as a secondary radio pouch. And so
I actually use that as my primary radio patch.
really, so I'll run my primary here, and then if I'm doing like dual comms and running 2 leads into my ears, I'll shove another one in here. And then in this front pouch, it's actually pretty great because I can fit 1 extra radio battery, and then I can put my lapel mic at the bottom here. And it all fit really, really well. And so I have a battery, I have a radio, an extra battery, and a lapel mic, all for my system inside the belt kit. If you guys want to get the belt kit, reach out to us. We'll be able to help you out with that. As well as, like, obviously 3 mags, that's not enough. That's never enough ammo.
Right.
A lot of people are running like 3 mags, 2 in there, and then 1 in the gun. That's 6 mags. That's not enough. We want to be like 10 and above,
Right.
realistically. And so having some
Why
sort.
is that?
Because standardly, we've seen a lot of data from guys who have been decisively engaged either in the Middle East or in other locations across the country, and gunfights can take a lot longer than people realize. And so we want enough to handle the gunfight that we're in, but then we also want to be able to replenish whatever we use. And so standardly, like maybe 5-6 mags is going to be enough, but then you don't have any ammo after that. And so if you get into that altercation and you spend those 5 or 6 mags, you got to have a plan to refill those magazines. And so inside my Sustainment gear, right, you see, opening it up, my front pouch right here on the very top, so that way I can access it, I have my next round of magazines, right? So I can take these, I can backfill into my plate carrier, into my belt, into my rifle, and I can put my empties into my pack, right? There's an old joke where it's like everybody loves the trip back from the op because you're a lot lighter without the ammo. And so that's very much a thing, right? So think about that. You should be carrying ammo inside your pack and your Sustainment gear to make sure you can backfill whatever you use, and hopefully you never use any ammunition, because that would be terrible, because that means that you're firing your weapon, right? And that's a bad, bad deal. A couple of other thoughts to have, like, obviously everybody inside their ADC should have a flashlight, everybody should have a lighter, everybody should have a knife, all these things, right? So we're saying all this knowing that you already have that gear, right? So something to write with, really slept on. I always use a Right in the Rain, right?
And a solid pen for that.
Yeah, and a solid pen. There's the Right in the Rain pens. There's a bunch of different options. So something to write with, and a pen. I like the Right in the Rains because it's not weather deficient. Another thing is a rangefinder. Rangefinders are very useful tools, and people don't often pay attention to them. Majority of the United States, or majority of gun owners cannot accurately put shots on target after 300 yards. And I say that with knowing that a bunch of people in the comments are gonna be like, dude, I hit at 1200 all the time. Okay, cool. Go run 100 yards, come up and hit a 2x4 index card at 300 yards. Because you are not thinking about actual PID, you're shooting...
Or hit a 10-inch plate.
Yep, hit a 10-inch plate, right? Or PID, a 10-inch plate. Have a buddy go 300 yards out with a small whiteboard and write a sentence on it, take your binoculars and see what the sentence says. Can you make it out? And the reason that matters is because everybody and their mom is running multicam right now, right? And so you got to be able to identify, what does that patch on his arm say? What does that patch on his chest say? What does that patch on his flag say? Or the patch on his hat say, right? Is that an American flag? Is that a flag for an organization that may be, you know, not super cool towards us? So having a rangefinder so that way you can know distance, and then having some sort of magnification on you so that way you can see at a distance, right? This is a simple low power, like 12 variable freaking binocular, right? But these two things paired together is force multiplication, right? We can see at a distance and we don't have to be close to bad people doing bad things.
It's not necessary to, I like binoculars specifically because it's not necessary to be using your rifle scope all the time. If you say you're running a 1-10 or a 1-8 LPVO, you know, those are a 12 power, right? So mine are a 10 power. So I immediately get that extra vision. I've stepped up from my 1 to 8 LPVO, but also I'm not flagging my rifle or doing things that are causing suspicion or what have you, because a lot of this really depends on what's the circumstances, where am I at, what's going on. Maybe I do see something that's 300 yards away.
And we can't sit here and pontificate upon the, you know, the possibilities of SHTF currently, right? Like, we're not gonna sit here and have like a little doomer porn fest where we try to tell you what's gonna happen. That's not the jam. It's more so, hey, like, stuff is happening, obviously. And so with that, these are a couple of things that you can carry to be more prepared and more set up for success, right? Because that's all we want. We want you guys to be safe. We want to preserve life. We want you guys to be successful and prosperous in what you do, right? And then obviously after your defensive gears, having some sort of firearms, some sort of tool on you, to where you can project force at a distance away, right? So you can keep people away from you. Obviously, I think that every American should always carry a sidearm on them. I think that that's just the way to go, but I also believe in your freedom of choice, so do what you want. And then in the truck, I usually have some sort of long gun, whether it's an AR-15 or an AR-10 or shotgun or something like that. There's a variety of things you can carry, whatever works for you.
There's something in my truck.
Yeah, who cares? Right. Nobody cares what gun you have. We just care that you shoot and make accurate hits, right?
Absolutely.
That's the whole thing, guys.
Across the board, it doesn't matter whether it's your bolt action, your AR-15, your 12 gauge, 20 gauge, and you're shooting slugs, whatever it is, you need to be proficient.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing, guys. I see a lot of these like cool rifle builds that are like focused on doing work inside of close quarters, which is fine. That's awesome, but we don't always get to decide what situation we're in. And so with that, like, I try to always carry a rifle with magnification inside of my vehicle, some sort, whether it's 3X, whether it's 8X, whatever, you know. And anybody who's done any long distance shooting, you know, and just consistent long distance shooting at a distance knows that 8 power is not really, that's not enough, man. You're gonna you want to cook a little bit more gas than that, right?
Absolutely.
And so consider what you currently have in your truck, right? Are you putting too much in there? Like, you have 9 plate carriers, 100 magazines, and 3 guns, and all this stuff. Like, are we getting overwhelmed and overburdened? We shouldn't be doing that. But at the same time, we shouldn't have nothing in our vehicle right now, because we've seen over and over and over again the past 3 weeks times where innocent communities, right, of whatever party being attacked. Well, we decided to take action over anxiety, to not allow ourselves to be victimized. And so with that, we go ahead and we step up our security protocols, make sure that we're carrying our stuff with us, and then also step up your training, guys. You should be training 10 to 15 times more than you probably were.
Yeah.
You should be working with new people in your community. You should be working with, you know, your bros and your sisses more often.
Right.
And don't just train guns. Make sure that we're training medical. Make sure we're training survival skills.
If you can't use these, I mean,
you're dead.
What are you doing?
You gonna die.
Yeah.
Much for dead now time. And in all seriousness, like, can you start a fire? Can you clean water? Can you find food? All these things are very, very important. We fantasize and focus on the super sexy shooting.
And oftentimes even forget the practical. Can you change a tire?
Yeah. Can you check your oil? Like,
the super basic stuff. You know, can you jump your car if the battery's dead?
Yep.
Right? Like,
do you know how to siphon fuel?
This is extra to basic stuff. I see you've got a logging chain.
Yep.
I carry a logging chain in my truck just in case somebody needs to be pulled out, or I'm in a messy situation and I need to be pulled out. You know, somebody can help. What have you? You know, the basic stuff. Square away your truck, get it good to go, and start worrying about your other stuff here.
And with that, before you guys start focusing on all this stuff that you need to put in your vehicle, you need to focus on the skills that you're putting in yourself. You need to put in the time, you need to put in the effort, and continue to train. If you guys ever need any, you know, advice, or you have any questions or concerns or anything like that, feel free to hit us in the comment section below.
Yeah, please.
We watch the comments constantly because we want to be a resource for y'all. If you like these videos, let us know. If you don't like these videos, if you think this is a waste of your time, let us know in the comment section below. We love the hate, dude. Hate on us, bro. But we also really appreciate all your love and support.
Right.
So with that, I hope that you guys never have to use any of this stuff. I hope that you stay safe and prosperous. Please, please carry an effing tourniquet. Shalom.
Shalom.